All right, we're back. No Look Podcast. As you can tell, back in our own comfortable homes. Tyler actually never left his home, but he's back in his gaming chair. I'm back on the West Coast in California. Tyler, I just got to say, I had a lot of fun last week. Obviously, we had our special guest of Brendan on, but, it just felt like a guy's night. We were just there chilling, bullshitting, had a few drinks flowing. You know, our new mascot Raider had a mild interruption for us, but we got that figured out.
A case of the turf toe.
The dew claws. That's the new
the
injury.
Duke the Duke toe. No, but it was a lot of fun. Had a great weekend. It's always nice when we can get the podcast together, do it live. I feel like it's a smoother, production, but we I feel like we've almost mastered the whole Skype,
Mm.
podcasting shindig. But last week went over week 2. We made our predictions. Austin, drumroll, are you ready for the final
No.
week 2 records?
No.
I'll go from bottom up. So Austin last week
Oh,
finished
thanks.
8-7. Brendan finished 9-6, and the man goddamn Tyler finished 10-5. So that puts the season record at Austin 16-14, tight race,
Mm.
and Tyler 17-13. So
Mm.
I
Slightly
mean,
above 500. I mean, not that there have been too many upsets,
like
but
I said, like I said last week, week 1 tough, kind of to pick matchups because you don't know what's gonna happen. Week 2, I feel like it was a little bit easier. There were some games like I'll just go over real quick. Eagles over Niners. Me and Austin picked the Eagles while Brendan picked the Niners. That was a game that I was kind of in between of, and the Niners ended up winning it even though they lost half their running backs. Raiders over Steelers. I mean, Brendan and Austin went against me with the Steelers. I was the lone one with the Raiders as I would almost say shit pumped the Steelers, but that's neither here nor there. And then Cowboys over Chargers. Um, Austin and Brendan took the Chargers. I took the Cowboys, who won. I mean, there was also, a few L's in our standings, which were kind of shockers.
mm.
Bengals didn't beat the Bears, and Saints didn't beat the Panthers. Seahawks didn't beat the Titans. So Chiefs didn't beat the Ravens also. But
Yeah. That was a great game, that Sunday night game. I mean, that was prototypical Lamar Jackson, right? Obviously he's a MVP quarterback, but he kind of played his exact game, right? He had 2 interceptions, but he had a buck 20 on the ground, one or at least one, maybe two rushing touchdowns.
I
He threw the
think one.
ball. He threw the ball well enough to get the job done, and it's always interesting to see that dynamic between him and Harbaugh. Obviously, Harbaugh, you see him on the sideline. He's like, Lamar, do you want to go for it on fourth down? Which I'd like to give him credit and say that's a big brain, big balls type move to put your trust in the quarterback. Being the person who calls the plays and at the end of the day has the last say. But at the same time, it's kind of like a win-win situation, right, Tyler? Because if you say, Lamar, you want to go for it, and he's like, yeah, if it works out, then it's like, okay, you were smart to have that trust and faith in your quarterback. Which on the opposite side, if it doesn't work, it's not your fault because you didn't
Right.
make the call. Lamar made the call. So as much
I
as
feel
it
like
is a big ball move by Harbaugh, it kind of a smart one as well.
No, and I feel like it panned out. I mean, if anything, it almost boosts your odds to convert that fourth down or that touchdown because now your quarterback's like, he has this sense of, my coach trusts me, let's go get this done. This is what I wanted to do from the get-go. So it kind of gives them that extra drive. But that was a big game for the Ravens. They needed that win, especially coming off of the loss Monday night versus the Raiders, kind of put them in a position where now they're sitting at the top of the AFC North right now. So they needed it. One thing coming out of that game, though, Austin, I don't know if you saw today, Lamar Jackson sat out of practice this last today because of a sore hip from doing a flip into the end zone when he scored the touchdown.
That was the most awkward flip. It's like, okay, it wasn't quite a somersault. He didn't fully complete the front flip. It just looked awkward. Obviously, someone of his athleticism, athletic capability, he's gonna be all right. I'm sure he's gonna be a go on Sunday. But just a weird move on Lamar's part.
It was almost like he played too much Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2 growing up and was trying to do like the where you put your hand on the ramp and put the skateboard above your head. So we'll see how he's feeling. I mean, I think they have the lines. We'll go over that a little bit later. Do you just want to go right into week 3?
I do. I just want to say, Tyler, and this doesn't happen often. I'm gonna give the
Okay.
Raiders a little bit of credit here,
Oh
but
shit.
from deductive reasoning, your boy Yo Soy AC Weezy. I love my equations. As much as E equals MC squared and the square root of x squared is x. I mean, since the Raiders beat the Ravens and the Ravens beat the Chiefs, then therefore the Raiders are better than the Chiefs. And then at the same time, how
Keep going.
the
I'm almost there.
Raiders beat the Steelers and the Steelers beat the Bills, then
Oh, I'm
thus
there.
also meaning that the Raiders are better than the Bills?
So what does that mean in theory, Austin?
The,
I'm
Ra-
I'm
the
literally
Raiders got
right
to be
there.
the number one team in the AFC right now. As much as it pains me to say it, I mean,
Insert
golly.
insert Vince McMahon gif when he's falling back in the chair. Austin, that is the most electric thing I've ever heard you say. I was honestly coming into this podcast. I was like, is it possible Austin, comes to his senses? Perhaps, all this bullying of the Raiders, this Raider hate talk, past 2 weeks going against the Raiders, where I learned last week I just couldn't do it. Um, no, it feels good though. The Raiders 2-0. My fantasy team's 0-2. If there's any equations that equal out to each other, also Austin, when the Raiders do good, Tyler's fantasy teams do very bad.
Right.
So, and honestly, I would rather go 0-16 and the Raiders win the Super Bowl.
Okay.
I've been known to say that.
Well, hold that thought. I think we got some breaking news here. Insane Games TV in the chat. Oh boy, McCaffrey out. Is that confirmed, Tyler? Is Christian McCaffrey gone out of the game with an injury?
I don't know. Let's. I was too busy. Literally CU dash dash ing in my chair that I didn't see it.
I mean, that's huge right there. Because we were just talking about it earlier. On one standpoint, in our Insane Games Fantasy Football League, I'm playing against McCaffrey, but in our personal friend league, I have McCaffrey. So it's like good, but also terrible at the same time.
Oh
Hopefully,
yes,
it's
Ian Rappaport, Panther star. 3 minutes ago, Christian McCaffrey has a hamstring
oh
injury
no,
and is out.
oh no.
Not good. That's he said that, not me. Also, well, to get your reactions, but real quick, speaking of fantasy, I don't know if you saw the press conference that Daniel Carlson, the kicker for the Raiders, had. Absolutely electric. The guy
Hmm.
basically said that he was the one that beat himself in fantasy
Yeah.
because his opponent had him in fantasy and he ended up kicking a lot of field goals and ended up losing because of him, which you hate to see it, honestly.
No, yeah. Okay, so big news coming out here. Credit to the no
Insane games
the
chapter.
unnamed the unnamed person behind the Insane Games TV Twitch account. So, but it's almost like I don't know why, Tyler. Anytime, obviously we all know it's Dan, right? Anytime Dan types something, I can just hear his voice saying it. Oh boy, McCaffrey out. Like I can just picture him saying that in real life. But all right, credit to Dan Insane Games TV for breaking news. I almost said moves like the PMT. Breaking news. But all right, that's huge right there. McCaffrey out. I mean,
Chuba Hubbard
sheesh.
stocks skyrocketing. Bigger than AMC, bigger than GME.
I mean, alongside Penny Sewell. That's got to be one of the better names in the NFL. Chuba Hubbard. I mean,
It sounds like Chewbacca's younger cousin.
Chuba, like the progressive Chewbacca person in
We got to
of the
come up
Star
with a
Wars.
list
Okay,
of like the best NFL names, like active players, and then like maybe we'll do
all
a
time.
maybe what we'll do,
That's a
Austin.
bracket idea.
That's a bracket idea. Best football names in history. We'll do like 1 through 32, 1 through 16. I mean, TJ Houshmandzadeh has to be on there
Oh yeah,
maybe. But anyways,
to
speaking of
Brickashaw Ferguson, it's gonna be tough to dethrone him.
true.
He literally sparked the whole Key and Peele skit.
Speaking of week 3, speaking of Panthers, I had picked, and you could look at my notes app. Last time it was edited was yesterday. You can see it there along with my 2022 goals.
Oh, bank account info. Hope you guys got the clip it.
I had the Panthers over the Ravens, so I will take that game. Austin, I'm sure you would agree with me on that. Or Panthers over Texans.
Texans. Yeah, I picked them as well.
Okay. I mean, might not be looking good with Christian McCaffrey out. We'll see. Sam Darnold, watching the snippet I saw in the pocket, looking poised, looking calm, cool, collected. They were saying that when he is a turnover machine, obviously he's trying to do too much, and he's learned this season that to turn that off. Let the guys around you play out, which I don't think he's ever played with a guy like CMC or DJ Moore out of the wide receiver group, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, I mean DJ doing more right now this season
Oh,
is looking great so far. I mean he kind of was supposed to be that big play guy, never really lived up to his potential. I don't know if it's because of the number change, right? He's rocking number 2 this year, but he's looked prolific this year. His route running, his catching skills, that's always been an
ball
issue.
skills.
Yeah, ball catching skills.
Oh yeah.
Goes hand in hand.
Hand in hand. Next game we got the Chiefs versus the Chargers. Austin, I'll go first. I'm going to go with the Chiefs over the Chargers in this game. I think this is a game that the Chiefs are going to come out and seek revenge for losing against the Ravens. They have awoken. I also think that Patrick Mahomes lost his first game in September last week against the Ravens. I think that was his first time losing. I don't think he's going to lose for a while, maybe until he faces the Las Vegas Raiders. But I just think the Chiefs are too strong. They're going to have Tyrann Mathieu back, Frank Clark back. I do like this Chargers offense. Their defense is also really good. Joey Bosa, Derwin James. But I just think the Chiefs are too strong in this game for the Chargers, especially coming off of the loss.
Yeah, I mean, I'm high on the Chargers and Herbert. I still think they're a little bit young. Obviously, the running back situation. I'm not huge on Eckler. But on the flip side, Chiefs coming off a loss. Yes, technically they did lose the game, but I mean, they lost the game as a result of a Clyde Edwards-Helaire fumble right in the fourth quarter, and also a gutsy fourth down call by the Ravens. So there's a couple plays had they gone the opposite way. I think we're talking about the Chiefs being 2-0 right now. So I'm gonna go with the Chiefs in this one.
Next game, we got Cardinals versus Jaguars. Kind of an easy one for us. I'm going to go Cardinals. Kyler Murray looking like his MVP self. All the options in the world minus the run game. Defense looking really good. And Jaguars looking lackluster. They probably have the most garbage time touchdowns this year. But that's not going to do anything for them against Kyler Murray and the Cardinals.
Yeah, no, this one's a no-brainer. K1, he's playing out of his mind right now. We're almost seeing a rejuvenated James Conner. Again, looking kind of weird in that uniform and rocking that single-digit number, but I feel like he's playing consistent ball right now. Obviously, you have Hopkins, you have A.J. Green, you have Christian Kirk. And
A.J. Green played a great game last game, too.
Well, dare I say, Rondale Moore, probably
Oof.
the best receiver on the team. I mean, this guy is prolific. What?
Don't say the best receiver on the team.
Well, last week he was the best receiver on the team, which is
There
hard
you
to do when you're, playing on the same side of the ball as DeAndre Hopkins. On the flip side of the ball, the Jaguars, I mean, technically they're still rebuilding. They got their quarterback. They think they have their coach. But I mean, Urban Meyer, we're 2 games into the season and he's already, proclaiming, oh, don't give up on us yet. I mean, the fact that you're coaching the Jacksonville Jaguars, who have already been the laughing stock of the NFL for the past, 2, 3, 4, 5, however many years, and you go 0-2 and you feel compelled to say, hey, don't worry, we're going to turn around. It's like that almost makes you look weak because everyone who's a fan of the NFL, even the Jaguars fans, they know you're not going to turn around, next week, the following week, probably this season. So the fact that you're almost blinded by the light there and kind of, I don't know, throwing out a cry for help that's no one's going to be answering, that just kind of looks desperate. I'm not sure if Urban Meyer remains the head coach for the Jaguars for the whole season.
Well, I mean, it's tough for him because he's already fielding questions about the USC opening. This team kind of reminds me of you see the guys, got Trevor Lawrence, Urban Meyer. They're like, can we just go back to college?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe one more year. One more year of college would be better than this because honestly, the Jaguars are on pace to not win a single game this season. Maybe I could even see them losing against the Texans because I think, again, because the Texans are, at least competitive. Like those, they still have a good defense. They still have a decent offense with their triple head run game. But this Jaguars team, they're close to going 0-17 this year.
I mean, they're not close. They're right on top of it. I mean, I don't see a game in their schedule that I'm like, oh, okay, they might have a chance there. From what I've seen, I mean, Lawrence, I think he's going to be fine down the road. Excuse me, Tyler. I think he's going to, I don't know if he's going to live up to the hype. I think he'll make a few Pro Bowls, right? He'll probably lead whatever team, if it's still the Jaguars, to the playoffs. But, I mean, he just still needs a few years under his belt. It's tough. We talk about all the time, Tyler, the situations of like quarterbacks and more importantly, specifically rookie quarterbacks. But a lot of it is situational. I mean, they have a number one overall pick, clearly the best quarterback in the league talent wise. But you throw him on this Jaguars team with no one around him, and in that toxic environment, a new head coach, and expect them to succeed and win football games. It's pretty astronomical to me. I think people need to wake up, and I think that, I mean, Jaguars, they just gotta play for pride at this point, I guess.
I think they have a good foundation. They need an offensive line. They need a secondary. They need a defense in general. They have Josh Allen, but they need to build around that. Their offense is good, but like I said last week, if they had an offensive line, they would probably be one of the best in the league. But that's just not going to be enough against the Cardinals. Next game, we got the Browns versus the Bears. Austin, I'll allow you to go first. Who do you got?
Well, the Bears coming off, I don't know if I can call it impressive win, but a win nonetheless. They've announced that they're starting Justin Fields, which, whether it come as a result of Andy Dalton's supposed injury, obviously we saw him tweak his ankle or whatever, but he did go back out there. That's neither here nor there. I'm going all Browns, and my main X factor in this game is none other than OBJ, Odell Beckham Jr. Tyler, he said he's feeling good, and not just that, he's feeling great. He says he's in better shape than before he got injured, and you see that a lot of times because they take the necessary steps, right, in the rehabilitation. We saw AP do it. He came off his Achilles injury or ACL, whatever it was. He rushed for 1,000 yards. OBJ is going to come out first game this season back from the injury. He's going to score 3 touchdowns.
Oh, no.
You heard it here first. And I reached back like 1-3, 1-3.
Are you saying that
What's the
because
Drake
he's on
line?
your fantasy team?
No, I was high on him. Odell Beckham, he came into this league and he started a wildfire, right? He had the crazy catch. He was a poster child for ads and partnerships, sponsorships. He was the face of Nike in the NFL for a while. And then he kind of hit a wall. You know, he went to Cleveland. He thought, okay, I'm going to go secure the bag. But at the end of the day, he's a football player. And I know he's a competitor. And I know he's been anxious and very ready to get back out in the field. I think they gave him the green light, and maybe they ease him in to playing time. You know, put a playing limit on him. But with Jarvis Landry being injured, they really have no one else to turn to. I think he's gonna get 90+% of the snaps. He's gonna get his opportunities. You know, Baker's gonna give him the looks. He's gonna have a lot of targets. I think he has a monster day. 3 touchdowns obviously is a little outlandish, but I do think he has a very good game.
I think he has a coming out game for sure, coming off the injury. I think this is all Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, though. This is their game where they're going to dominate 200 plus yards between the two of them. They're going to, slowly beat this Bears team. Without Jarvis Landry, it's going to be hard to throw against this secondary. Eddie Jackson, Jawan Johnson, or Jermaine Johnson, whatever the fuck his name is, got his first interception. So there are no slouches in the secondary, but I mean they do have some holes in their defense, and I think they're going to exploit it with Chubb and Hunt. And I'm going to go Bears going down to the Browns. Next game I have Bills versus Washington. Austin, Bills coming off of a 35-0 win over the Dolphins. Obviously, a big game for the Bills to kind of move on from their loss week 1 against the Steelers. I think they're gonna, go in. I don't know if it's in Washington or in Buffalo. I think it's in Buffalo this week. Tables are gonna be broken. Beers are gonna be chugged or shotgunned.
It's in Buffalo.
And W's are going to happen in Buffalo this week. Bills over Washington. It's going to be tough. This Bills secondary is going to shut down Terry McLaurin. They're going to, do whatever they got to do to stop Antonio Gibson. It's almost going to be a similar score, in my opinion, to the Dolphins game.
Yeah, I mean, Tyler, I know you and I are pretty high on the football team. We're both fans of Antonio Gibson, Chase Young, that defense they got going on over there. I think Heineke is better at their, respective points in their careers right now at this very moment than Fitzpatrick. I think they'll win football games. I think they'll come close to around that 500 record on the season, whether it's above or below. Obviously, now we have an odd number of games being played. But with that being said, the Bills, they finally hit their stride. They found their identity. Josh Allen was all over the field. They had Zach Moss in there getting carries, so I think they need to get back to more of that 1-2 punch in the backfield for them to be successful. I mean, I feel like they are closely comparable as far as identities go of these football teams, both solid defenses, but obviously you got to give a huge leg up to the Bills on the offensive side of the ball. I mean, I'm not going to coin shit pumping games of the week, even though Tyler gave me his graces to, but I think this one is going to be a blowout.
I'm glad we agree on that. Next game, this was a tough one for me until I realized that Carson Wentz, broke or sprained or did whatever to both of his legs. Titans versus Colts. I don't think Carson Wentz is playing for the Colts this week. Without him, I don't even know who the backup is. Jacob Eason maybe. Not looking good. Jacob Eason came in last week, threw an interception. I think his first throw. Titans coming off of the win, kind of insert Derrick Henry here and have him, absolutely dismantle a team like he did last week. I think this is an easy pick. Titans over Colts. I think it's just going to be one of those games where, the Colts, if they had Carson Wentz, it might be a different story. But, they don't have a solid quarterback. And, Derrick Henry's being Derrick Henry right now.
Yeah, I mean, Carson Pete Wentz, you might want to wake him up when September ends.
So, Pete Wentz was on Fall Out Boy.
Oh, shit. All right. I thought he was Green Day. Erase that! I thought I was going somewhere with it. No, I mean Carson Wentz. I I don't really hate anyone. I wanted him to succeed. I thought he might be a good fit there in Indianapolis. But you got to hang it up, my guy. You got to go coach, high school football somewhere in Idaho or South Dakota, wherever you're from. Derrick Henry, Tyler, I'm not going to go out on as far of a limb and say he's going to have more fantasy points this week, but he rushed for 182 yards. I think he goes over the 200-yard mark in this game. You know, Colts have a great defense, but at the same time, they're gonna have to honor the run. And we've seen what Tannehill can do in the passing game. Obviously, they have Julio Jones, AJ Brown. I think Henry runs wild. I think he goes over the 200 mark. I mean, we may see Tyler the first ever back-to-back 2,000-yard rusher in a season in King Henry. I would love to see it just to be able to say, hey, this was within my lifetime. I got to witness it. It's going to be all Titans. No Carson Wentz. Who's the backup again?
I think Jacob Eason.
Yeah, Jacob should get arrested for treason because you fucking suck at football. But I don't know. The Colts, they're struggling right now. I think Jeremy is a Colts fan, right? Sorry, Jeremy.
Not
Luckily,
sorry.
luckily you got Jonathan Taylor on your team this year, but that's the only bright spot on that team. It's gonna be all Titans.
Quick update, Austin. Christian McCaffrey walking back to the locker room. They had him on the
Hmm.
sideline under the tent. Did not look good. He was screaming, hollering in pain. My guess, out for a few weeks, maybe on IR for the next 3. Who knows?
All right, hold on. Let me let me just redo that first intro line real quick. So we're talking about the Colts, and we got Carson, Pete Wentz. I think Sugar, you're going down this week against the Titans. So.
That was much better.
Okay. I just had to redo
Um,
that one.
I'm glad that you redeemed yourself, made it work. Did you have to type in Fall Out Boy songs to get that, or
No, I knew that was a Fall Out Boy
you
song,
had it on your iPod
but
shuffle, didn't
I was
you?
like in my head, I'm like, wait, Pete Wentz, which I knew it was one of those two, and I went with Green Day. Wrong choice, but I just had to get that proper line in there,
I can't even name a Green Day member. I just know the guy that has like the spiked black hair. I don't know his name, but oh,
Billy Joe Armstrong. That's the
that's
guy.
it,
Yeah,
Billy
yeah.
Joe, related to Neil Armstrong and
Lance.
Lance.
Yeah,
That's it.
they're all third cousins twice removed.
Speaking of sports, we got the Saints.
Speaking of sports.
We got the
And that
Saints.
was talking pop punk.
Yep. We got the Saints versus the Patriots this week.
Hmm.
Austin, I'm gonna allow you to go first on this one. I would defer to you.
Well, gee, thanks. It's probably the toughest game we have thus far. I as much as it pains me to say it, I think the Patriots may have found their quarterback of the future in Mac Jones. I mean, it's scary how ironic and similar, the comparisons are between him and Brady. More specifically, the picture. Tom Brady had his draft combine picture where he's sitting there in the underwear, looking like he should be playing in a bowling league on Tuesday nights. Mac Jones looking very similar to that with his body structure. But I mean, they're playing good football. They lost by 1 point week 1 to the Dolphins. That probably could have gone either way. They played a good game last week. The Saints, I don't know what's going on. Jameis comes out. He looks like an MVP. They steamroll the Packers. They go last week into Carolina. They get beat by the Panthers, who aren't that bad of a team. But, I mean, obviously a little biased. I still think the Packers are a much better team than the Panthers. Obviously, if we're using my equation, Tyler, with the Raiders, that doesn't really quite make sense. But I think I'm going to go out on a limb and say Patriots. Belichick, that guy, he's like the Sith Lord, Star Wars. He's still always got something up his sleeve. He's a defensive scheme guru. I think they have enough there to be decent this year and at least beat the Saints, in my opinion.
Well, Austin, we have our first disagreement. I am going Saints over Patriots in this one. Although the line people say that the Patriots are a 58% chance of winning this week, they're in New England.
Oh, they're
I think
favored?
they're favored to
Hmm.
win. They're in New England. Saints coming off of a pathetic loss last week. I think they're going to come back. They're going to, purely use Alvin Kamara to his full potential. Hasn't scored a rushing touchdown this season. Gonna get him the ball. Gonna get him the ball a lot, and going to beat the Patriots by a small margin, I think. So
Hmm.
I'm gonna go Saints over Patriots. I'm gonna go with my gut. I had them over it. I was about to change it when you were talking, and I'm like, you know what? I said what I said for a reason. Let's go Saints.
Saints come marching in. We'll see if they go marching out with a dub.
Hey, we're gonna eat dubs, baby. Next game we got Giants versus Falcons. Austin, I'll go first because we were talking about this pre-podcast. I'm gonna go Giants in this game. I think the Falcons taking the booty whooping that they did against the Bucks last weekend. They're obviously a little hurt. Feeling a little less confident. They do have a good team around them. Matt Ryan looked good. Calvin Ridley's looking good. Cordell Patterson's emerged as a favorite out of the backfield. But I think this is the breakout game for Saquon Barkley. I think this is the game where he finally produces. They finally get their offense clicking and clicking fast. Maybe get Galladay more involved with the offense. Sterling Shepard already doing a great job. But I think this is the game where Saquon scores 3 touchdowns, two rushing, one receiving. I think they're going to have a big game, riding the back of Saquon and his massive fucking tree trunk legs. I'm going to go Giants over the Falcons in a close but high scoring game. I think it's going to be one of those filthy fucking non-defense games, but it's going to be the Giants that win it.
I think this has all the potential and, the allure of being that, no defense, 80 points scored between the two teams. But I think they're both just so bad. It's going to be super low scoring. Like you mentioned, Tyler, I don't know what's going on in the receiving room of the Giants. Danny Dimes has been playing decent football this season. Kenny Galladay, that might be the bust of my fantasy ownership this year. I was
I
high on
do
him.
want to precursor one thing, Austin. Kenny Galladay did say that the first few games are going to be rough
Hmm.
for the Giants. He said that coming out of training camp. He was like, this is not going to be good the first few weeks, but we'll get there.
I mean, that's remained to be seen. I mean, we'll see if he steps up too. I mean, Sterling Shepard, as you mentioned, not only is he winning off the field with his girlfriend, but he's winning on the field and he's winning the
Who's his
receiver battle.
girlfriend?
I'm pretty sure it's Chanel Iman.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. I mean, they were dating. I don't know if they still are. I don't.
He's a good looking dude, though, so it's
Oh,
not surprising.
for sure. I mean, if his third leg matches the other two that we can visibly see on Sundays, then
Why do you think he wears number 3? He's always rooting for the third leg.
doesn't he wear number 26?
Are we talking about
Oh,
Sterling Shepard?
no, Saquon. Or, wait, yeah. Sterling Shepard. Yeah, I'm all over the fucking place right now. What are we talking about? I didn't have a mixer, so I'm drinking fucking Casamigos on the rocks.
I
So,
thought that was water.
no.
You're crazy, dude.
Oh, shucks. You know me, honey. Anyways, Giants versus the Falcons.
My guy's throwing. He's thinking about all those fucking. What are those things that they make tequila out of? Fucking
Agave.
agave. He's thinking about all those agave trees they cut down to
No,
just.
we were talking about the Falcons, and then that reminded me of how all the Falcons fans were at fucking Wing House, and then how shitty that wings were at Wing House, and now you got me thinking about shitty wings, and I'm mis fucking confusing Sterling Shepard and Saquon Barkley. Anyways, my pick this week for the Giants versus Falcons, I'm going to motherfucking fly Falcons fly. I know it's the Eagles song, but anyways, Matt Ryan. He's going to say, hey, please don't trade me. He's going to throw for at least 3 touchdowns, 350 yards plus. Calvin Ridley, much like you said, Tyler, Saquon Barkley's breakout game. I think he has his breakout game and makes fantasy owners not want to trade him for at least the next 3 weeks. It's going to be a terrible game overall. If I had to guess, I think the Falcons win 17-14. It's just going to be. This should have been the Thursday night game this week, honestly.
I don't think. Also, I just want to say, wouldn't it be smart to trade a guy that goes off on a like 1 week that hasn't been playing that well, and maybe get more for the value of that player?
I don't know if there's any trade market for Matt Ryan right now. Maybe the Dolphins. Obviously, there's
I'm
been
I'm
rumor.
saying I'm saying Calvin Ridley when you said that.
Oh, about fantasy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking stocks, trade high, buy low. But I mean, I feel like people took Calvin Ridley at such a high position in the draft this year. They don't want to give up on him just yet. So he's going to have that game like, oh, okay, this is the guy I drafted, in the first round or early second round.
Right. Well, next game we got Bengals versus Steelers. Austin, I'm gonna go with a little bit of an upset.
Hmm.
I'm going Bengals over the Steelers this week. Reason being, Big Ben out of camp, talking about a sore pectoral muscle after being absolutely dismayed against the Raiders' front defensive line. Max Crosby coming in, absolutely crushing him and hurting his poor little pec. Well, I think this is Joey Bucket's time to come out, throw some dimes to Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and the boys and get the win over the Steelers. I think this is one of those games I said aforementioned in the beginning of the season. Bengals are going to sneakily win.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of them. Steelers coming off a bad loss. Big Ben hurt. Defense not playing well. Is TJ Watt playing? I don't know. He was out last game, after the first quarter. A lot of hurt players. I think this is the Bengals game to steal.
I mean, there's an upset for you, Ty. That's probably the biggest upset pick that you and I have had on this show thus far. However, as much as I would like to see the Bengals win, I love, Joe Burrow, Chase. I've always been a fan of Joe Mixon, even though he's fucked me over year after year in fantasy. Anyways, Big Ben, he's gonna be fine. He's gonna do some at home workouts to get that pec activated and be in game form come Sunday. Like you said, Watt, I'm not sure if he's going to play, but they still have a solid defense. They got the weapons. They got Claypool. They got Johnson. They got Juju when he's not making TikToks. Najee Harris, we kind of saw, I guess you could call it his coming out game last week. Scored a touchdown, had some decent production. I think they can now ride that run game and pass when needed, which has always been the identity of the Steelers, right? Jerome Bettis, Le'Veon Bell, even they tried it with Connor. Obviously, that didn't work out too well. But I think in this AFC North matchup, the Steelers come out victorious.
Next game we got, speaking of AFC North, Ravens coming off of the big win against the Chiefs versus the Lions coming off of a big loss against the Packers, who most thought could potentially beat the Packers if you watch the first half. It was looking back and forth, and then the Packers took it away. I'm going easy pick here, Ravens over Lions, regardless of if, Lamar's hip flexor is sore. He'll smash a couple Baltimore broads and bring it home to the Ravens this week to beat them by plus 25. I want to
Wow.
say 30, but
Wow.
it's going to be 25-point spread. I think the Lions do have, Swift. They got Hawkinson. They got Quintez Cephas or whatever the fuck his name is.
Cephas, I think.
Cephas. Cephas sounds way cooler though. It sounds like the
Sounds
guy from
French.
it sounds like the guy from the Matrix, but
Mm.
Ravens too much. Their defense too good. Coming off of a big win against the Chiefs, they're just gonna ride through it through the Lions.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be that much of a blowout, but I agree with you, Tyler. Whether Lamar is 100% or not, I can 100% tell you he's not going to be doing any flips in the end zone this week. However, the Ravens could go out and they could play Wildcat for, the whole game, and I think
Or
still
play
come out
former Penn State
victorious.
great Trey Storley.
Trey Sorley, who basically is a Wildcat quarterback, could go out there and beat the Lions this year. I do want to say, though, I don't think Jared Goff is as bad as people are making him out to be. He got the Rams to a Super Bowl. He hasn't really statistically been the best, but we saw what he did week 1 against the 49ers. They came out strong last week or technically still this week, but last week, week 2 in the NFL against the Packers. They were leading at halftime. Aaron Rodgers, I don't know if he took his smelling salts that he usually does, and he woke up a little bit. They came out firing in the second half, but I don't think Goff is bad. However, they still lose this week.
No, I agree. I think Goff is a very good quarterback. He's proving that, the fluke that people thought with the Rams making the Super Bowl happening wasn't a fluke. He ran a good offense. I think he's more at home with the Lions. I don't know how that makes sense in my mind, in my small dumb brain, but I just feel like he's a better thrower in Detroit than he is the Rams. He had better targets with Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, sometimes Todd Gurley in the backfield, but it seems like he's more comfortable. The odds are against him being in Detroit. Maybe his coach hyped up on caffeine, 24/7's getting him going, but he looks good. It's just this Detroit defense, not so much.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Next game, we got Broncos versus Jets. Easy pick for me. Broncos over Jets. I mean, there's really nothing more for me to say.
Yeah, I agree with you. Nothing really to talk about. I think Zach Wilson will be decent at some point in his career.
I disagree.
Threw 4 interceptions last week against the Patriots.
In the first half.
In the first half, he goes up against an even better Broncos defense here. The Broncos could be sneaky, Tyler. I'll say this in the AFC West. I mean, I don't know what their schedule's looking like, but they have a lot of pieces. If that defense can stay healthy, obviously they lost Jerry Jeudy, which was a big injury for them. They still have Cortland Sutton.
Big game.
They gotta get Javonte going in the backfield there. I think Melvin Gordon, he had his one play of the season with that 70-yard touchdown run. Once they get a more consistent run game to then open up play action, open up the deep ball for Teddy, I think they could be scary. But yeah, it's all Broncos in this one.
If you haven't seen the TikTok of the kid breaking down the Jets offensive line, please look it up. This 12-year-old breaks down, I think it was on ESPN, breaks down the Jets defense. One guy getting pancaked, one guy blocking his own defender, 2 tight ends looking at each other like, who we blocking? And then Zach Wilson throwing an interception. They don't have any assignments there. They're putting Zach Wilson to fail. Maybe if he was a part of a better system, he'd be a good quarterback. But he's not going to be with the Jets. They need to figure it out, from the ground up with management and drafting players and not getting rid of their best players. But until then, the Jets are going to continue to jet, and they're going to continue to lose. Next game, Austin, I'll let you go first. We got the Ravens versus the Dolphins in Vegas.
Raiders.
Oh, my God.
You said Ravens.
Raiders. I said Raiders.
I swear you said Ravens.
Okay. Raiders.
Close enough.
Raiders.
But yes.
Speaking of Raider, my dog is passed out.
Good. He's not doing tomfooleries and laying on my fucking bag of clothes for some reason that he liked to just lay and play with his toy on.
He wanted to let you know who Daddy was.
Yeah, well, he did. And now I sleep with that bag next to me so I can still smell his stinky poopy butt. But no, I am actually going to go Raiders on this one. Tyler, I hope you didn't wash that jersey, the Derek Carr jersey, the stain off of it.
2 stains now.
2 stain. Oh, I don't know what the other one's from. But anyways, Tua's going to be out. Brissett, decent. He looks kind of dumb in the Dolphins uniform. Myles Gaskin, I'm not sure where he's been. He's on a fucking milk carton. He's been absent this whole year. He's missing. They they're gonna
I
have
thought you meant I thought you meant he went out to go get milk and he hasn't been back yet.
no, no, no. You remember the
Yes, I
have you
remember.
seen me? Yeah.
Uh,
Anyways, the passing game, I don't know what's going on. They haven't gotten Gesicki involved. Devontae Parker, he just came back. He's not doing anything per usual. They have Waddle, who they haven't really figured out what his role in that offense is going to be.
he hasn't played bad, Waddle, but they also got Will Fuller back this week.
Yeah, I just don't think it's enough. Howard got exposed last week, obviously, against a solid Bills offense. I think the Raiders have enough. Derek Carr, he must be saying his Hail Marys and, doing his due diligence in church every Sunday morning before he plays because they've been playing good ball. Now, I do want to say, Tyler, just to knock you off your high horse a little bit and how I have been giving this much praise to the Raiders thus far. They also started out 2-0 last year, and we know how that ended up for them in the long run. I think they start 3-0 this year, but I still don't think they're a playoff team. I don't know what's going on in the backfield. Josh Jacobs, Kenyon Drake, no one seems to want to produce for them. Credit to Derek Carr, really. He's been playing good football. He's really been the quarterback that they thought he was. So I think it's all Raiders.
First off, I think they went 1-1 last year. You could check, but I'm gonna agree with you on this. I think it's Raiders. Tua out. Defense for the Raiders playing out of astronomically this world right now. I think they
They
said
went
Case.
2-0.
Who'd they face? Saints and then who?
Panthers week 1 they beat, then the Saints, then they lost
Oh,
to the
okay. And
Pats.
then they lost Pates. Yep. Um, anyways, Casey Hayward has the highest coverage rating out of all cornerbacks in the league. Max Crosby, absolute menace to society for quarterbacks. Derek Carr, like you said, leading the league in passing yards. Josh Jacobs, is he in this week? Doesn't matter if he is. It's all Derek Carr. This guy's playing for his contract, playing for his right to stay a Las Vegas Raider. And I think this is a game that the Raiders continue that success going on into week 4 and overlap this Dolphins team in Allegiant Stadium
Mm.
with DJ Pauly D.
I mean, he might be their X factor, but I didn't know. I did not know they had Casey Hayward. That's a good signing for him. He's always been a solid corner. Ex Packer, a little bittersweet for me, but
Hey, sometimes you got to learn. It's like playing, like playing chess. You got to get the good pieces and put them in. And, Casey Hayward still has some juice left in the tank. He got burned, I think, when he was playing with the Chargers. And, they didn't end up wanting him and found a home in Las Vegas. But next game we got my second favorite team, as Austin says, the Bucks versus the Rams in LA. Bucks going on a off of 2-0 after winning the Super Bowl last year. Big victory against Atlanta in Raymond James. Big victory
hmm
against the Cowboys in Raymond James. Their first road game in LA. Austin, who do you got?
So first of all, I want to preface my pick by saying this should have been the Sunday night game. This should have been prime time, and that's a lot coming for me because who's playing in the primetime slot? The Packers.
Packers versus
But
Niners.
this is, I mean, probably I'm gonna go out on a limb and say the best matchup of the season so far. Two 2-0 teams facing off against each other. Potentially could face each other again in the Super Bowl. You know, obviously being a
Or before
Packers
the Super Bowl.
or right. Well, right, because they're both NFC, so that wouldn't make any sense. In the NFC Championship game, I hope it doesn't happen. But with that being said, the Rams look great. Matt Stafford, he's playing good football. The defense is strong. But, I mean, shit. Tom Brady looking like he's going full Benjamin Buttons over here, and he's playing out of his mind. He's got all the weapons. They returned everyone. I don't know who's going to be the running back this week, but whoever it is going to play well. Uh, the Rams still haven't found out who they like in the backfield. Henderson's been playing well as of late. I know they're trying to get Michelle in the mix, but for me, until you beat them, the Bucks are probably the best team in football.
No, I'm going to agree with you with that. I think the Bucks beat the Rams. I think it's going to be a game of defenses. Obviously, the Rams have one of the best defenses with Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey, Johnson the third at safety, but the Bucks defense is just that much better. They have, a strong defensive line. Vita Vea stepping up after being injured last year. They got, Levante David coming back. Their secondary, even though they lost Murphy Bunting week one, they're stepping up, playing big. Mike Edwards, 2 interceptions for a touchdown last week. When's the last time you've seen 2 interceptions for a touchdown? Let alone their defense. Obviously, Tom Brady playing like Tom Brady of the past. This guy is electric. His stats. No 44-year-old has ever done this or will ever do this again. We're witnessing history as we speak, and
Yeah.
therefore it's like you said. Until you beat them, the Bucks beat the Rams. Next game we got Seahawks versus Vikings. Austin, I know this is a game I want to say real quick that probably the game that when I think Austin, what does Austin hate to pick? Seahawks versus Vikings. This is number one.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you hit the nail on the head right there, T. Obviously, Vikings are going to be the NFC North rivals until the end of time. The Seahawks, they're just rivals as far as the bad blood we've had in the playoffs. However, as far as players go, I like Russell Wilson. I like my baby DK. Obviously, Tyler knows
Baby
that.
DK. Baby
uh,
DK.
big baby. Carson's been playing well. They had a close loss last week against the Titans, but obviously King Henry went off. Tough to plan for that. Tough to stop that guy. The Vikings, I don't know what's going on for them right now. I thought Dalvin Cook, history repeats itself, went out with an injury. He ended up coming back. I never root for him to get injured. Justin Jefferson, they haven't really got him going yet. I think it all just falls back on Kirk Cousins. I mean, they brought him in to be the guy. He's been a guy, but not the guy. I think they need to move on. Maybe if we're talking about trades for Matt Ryan, Tyler, you know, they have a decent defense. They have some weapons over there in Minnesota. Was it Zimmer, the head coach? I don't think he's terrible. That could be a potential landing spot. But as far as this week goes, the Seahawks move on to 2-1.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you here. I think this is one of those games, as most Seahawks games, I feel like are gonna have an odd score. I think it's gonna be close, and I think it's gonna come right down to the wire, like most Seahawks and Vikings games do. And I just think the Seahawks have a slight edge. Russell Wilson's probably gonna throw the ball up, 700 feet into the atmosphere, and it's gonna come down, land in DK, baby DK soft hands, and catch it for a touchdown against the Vikings. But next game, big game for Austin. NFC Championship showdown rematch from 2 years ago.
Mm.
Packers versus Niners. This is a game that I know Austin feels strongly about. He hates the Niners ever since they dismantled his Packers in the championship game. Packers coming off of a blowout win against the Lions. They came out. Aaron Rodgers said, RELAX.
Mm-hmm.
Relax. Aaron Jones, 4 touchdowns.
Mm.
Absolutely shit on my chest in fantasy. I'm going all Packers in this game. Niners don't even have a running back to set on the field. Austin, I think the San Francisco 49ers called. They need a running back.
Mm.
They know you have bad knees, but, they just need one down. Going up against the Packers, they'll pay you some good money if you take it to them. But, 49ers, absolutely nobody. A lot of injuries happening just like they did last season. I just think the Packers are too strong.
Yeah, like you said, Tyler, I mean, I would definitely take them up on their offer. I just would, go out with a cramp after the first play in this matchup against the Packers. But yeah, I don't know what's going on running back. They got Trey Sermon. They just signed Kerryon Johnson. They got Paul Mitchell, who's been, using more conditioner than conditioning himself, looks out of shape. Packers, they had a blunder in week one, obviously. Aaron Rodgers, he didn't play a snap of football or was even with the team for most of the offseason. They had to get their rapport back together. They had to get the chemistry. Aaron Jones went off. Devontae hasn't found pay dirt yet, but we saw him getting involved, that nice deep over the shoulder catch, I mean, Aaron Rodgers, the guy's still got it, Tyler. Anybody questioning his athletic ability, his talent, I think all those guys were just, put to the wayside after last week. Packers came out and proved they're still one of the top teams in the NFC. I mean, I'm going to keep it real with you, Tyler. Obviously, I'm going to be a little biased. I don't know that I've ever taken someone, playing against the Packers on the No Look podcast. I'm not going to this week, obviously. I just said I'm going all Packers. The only way the 49ers beat the Packers is if they play Trey Lance. Packers have a history of playing very bad against running quarterbacks, specifically the 49ers and Colin Kaepernick. I mean, that guy has burned our Packers defense more times than I can imagine or remember, excuse me. That would be the only stipulation I could see them losing this game. The run defense is a little shaky. Obviously, Zadarius Smith is still out hurt. Bakhtiari is still out hurt. They're jumbling around people on the line. I think Elton Jenkins has played every position thus far this season. However, Packers, I think they come out and they do just enough to get the win.
The only thing that I will say is I wish Aaron Rodgers would cut his hair. Like you look at old
Why, bro?
Aaron,
That's Zen Rodgers, baby.
you look at old pictures of Aaron Rodgers, and he's this handsome, fucking strapping young lad. Won the Super Bowl with short hair. I mean, it's just like he looks terrible. He looks like, okay, who's the dad on Shameless? He looks like that guy. He
Oh,
looks like
fucking
the
Frank.
he looks like Frank
Shut the fuck
Rogers
up. That's
from
not his last name.
Shameless. I mean, Jesus Christ, cut your hair, brother. You look like a guy that's homeless. You haven't showered in a few days. I feel like he's
Gallagher.
begging for, yeah, Frank Gallagher. Frank Gallagher Rogers.
No, that's a
Um,
terrible comparison.
Not really, but next game, last game, Monday night game. Cowboys versus Eagles. Eagles obviously coming off of the loss this past week against the Niners. Cowboys coming off the win against the Chargers. I think, Austin, I have to go
Tyler?
Cowboys on this one. I just like them a little bit more. They're in Dallas this week. Dak Prescott coming off of a lackluster game didn't perform that well, but they still won. But I think it's going to be all Cowboys in Arlington. They're going to find the ball to Cooper. They're going to find the ball to CD. They're going to find the ball even maybe to Zeke. But I think at the end of the day, it's the defense that's going to make the difference. And I think the Cowboys defense, a little bit stronger than the Eagles, are going to take them in Arlington.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you on this one, Tyler. The Cowboys, they're just the better overall football team. We've seen what they can do last week. And even week one, they played a close game against the Bucks, a missed field goal away from coming out victorious in that matchup. The
They're a good
Eagles,
team.
yeah, no, for sure. I think they're probably the number 4 team in the NFC, if I had to
I
say.
agree.
I say Bucks, Rams, Packers, and then Cowboys. I think they'll end up winning the division. I was high on the Eagles last week. I still think I don't know if they're a playoff team. They're gonna have to step up. I do like Jalen Hurts. I think he is the quarterback of the future. I think they still need to get a little bit more chemistry. They have a few question marks on the defensive side of the ball. I don't know what the draft room is like, but they just cannot find a good running back. I mean, they had Josh
Whoa.
Adams. Obviously they have Miles Sanders right
Former
now.
Penn State great Miles Sanders.
Yeah, I mean he does okay, but he's not that type of guy that's gonna elevate your football team.
He's a wannabe Saquon Barkley, I will say that. Wearing the same number, came out after him.
He
I
just
just
doesn't
think
fit. I don't know.
I also do think that the Eagles do have a lot of injuries. Jason Peters went down this past weekend. They're always facing, or maybe it was Brandon Peters, somebody on defense. Somebody
Mhm.
went down for the Eagles. They just always have a lot of defensive injuries at the end of the day. And, losing Jalen Mills in the offseason probably didn't help their secondary much. Their defense is a giant question mark. And yeah, your offense can put up a lot of points, but if your defense isn't stopping anybody, it's not going to make a difference because defense wins championships. And most of my picks are purely solely based off of
Mhm.
how well your defense is going to play.
Yeah. No, I mean it'll be an interesting matchup. I think it'll be uh, a low scoring game. I would take the under in this one if I was betting it. But yeah, I just think the Cowboys, whether it's the hard knock effect, Tyler, I think they have a better team. Prescott, he's looked healthy, he's looked strong. They have arguably, the best receiving core, probably right up there with Tampa Bay and maybe Pittsburgh. But I mean, fucking Gronk. I mean, where did this guy come from? I guess, I mean, he had that year off, just did wonders for him. He's coming out and he scored what, 4 touchdowns in 2 games, I think. I know he had 2 last week. He
At
had
least three.
at least 3.
Yeah. No, he definitely has four then if he scored two in week one because he had two last week. So, I mean, he's definitely their leading receiver. Antonio Brown's out this week with COVID, but I don't think it matters against the Rams. I mean, you still put three solid guys out there. They're still gonna fight. Scotty Miller's gonna find a way to
I was gonna
make a
say
difference.
we're talking about breakout games. You said Saquon, I said OBJ. This is Scotty Miller's game. If you need a flex, if you're in like a deep 12-man league, Scotty Miller.
Dude, Scotty Miller is the guy that is the definition of boomer bust.
Oh yeah, I mean, he either gets 0 targets or 10.
Yeah.
It just, I mean, it's obviously it factors into Brown playing and how the offensive sets factor into the being played. 3 wide receiver sets. He's obviously the fourth guy left out if Brown's playing. If Brown's out, he's that guy, so he'll get a little bit more snaps.
He's the guy that gets invited to the cookout, but he's like the guy that's like always in the background. Like he's always just like chilling in a chair, just like
Mhm.
nodding his head to music. But anyways, that's week 3 wrapped up. Austin, I do have one thing. 6 more weeks until the NBA starts. That means that we're gonna have a jam-packed session of No Look Podcast during that time. Obviously,
Mm.
I'm not gonna cover a lot of the regular season games, but we will be covering the bigger news. 6 weeks left. They already came out with the 1 through 100 list of best players in the NBA. We may have to go over that at some point because
Mhm.
I see a lot of them and I'm like, wait, that doesn't make sense. There's also a lot of accusations, trades. Ben Simmons, where's he going? A lot of links to the Brooklyn Nets, which I'm not liking, but
Yeah, I mean, I know we've done it in the past. Maybe we'll have to do a double feature week of the No Look podcast if we got a lot of stuff to cover. Because obviously, football takes up a whole hour time slot, and if we want to cover anything else, we're gonna need a little bit more time for that. So we'll have to crunch the numbers and check the schedules. I know Tyler's a busy man. He's a dog dad now. He's he's slinging tile out here like Brady's slinging the football. So.
hey, you need Tile. Come see Tyler the Tyler.
All right, that was it. You're good.
I'm good. Hey, good luck this week. Go Paco. Go
You
Raiders.
as well. I think this might be the first week that we both picked each other's teams.
Well, I typically pick the Packers. It's always you against the Raiders.
Well, can you argue with me about it?
I
Up in,
could.
up until these past 2 weeks, I haven't really been convinced, but they've
I mean,
proven
I
me
could argue
otherwise.
with you, but I don't want to because it wouldn't make sense logically for me to pick against the Packers half the time.
Yeah. All right, that's it for No Look Podcast. Thirsty Thursday coming up next, and I still got this much of Casamigos.
Oh
I might
no.
grab a few more ice cubes so we can keep it chilly for the next 2 hours. Stay tuned for that. I'm going to start up the starting soon screen, so just refresh the page and we'll be right back.
Love you.